Narayana. Hari Om and good evening from Mawa. When Vibhishana left Lanka and came to Bhagwan Rama, then Ravana sent spies to observe Vibhishana. And these Rakshasas disguised themselves as the monkeys, as the bears. When they observed how large-hearted Bhagwan Rama was to Vibhishana, all of the monkeys were praising Bhagwan Rama. And so they were moved too, and they started praising Bhagwan Rama also. And in their over-enthusiasm, their disguises fell off. And all of the monkeys saw that these are actually Rakshasas. So they started beating them and tying them, and they brought them to Sugriva. He's the commander of the monkeys. And Sugriva shared to these Rakshasas that the way you treated Hanumanji, our ambassador, we should treat you, Ravana's ambassador. That we should cut your ears and nose off. And they shared, in the name of Rama, please don't hurt us. And there's lots of beautiful dialogue that comes from there. What I want to highlight for us is Sugriva is living by treating these Rakshasas the way Ravana would treat Hanumanji. Almost the state of revenge. This shows that Sugriva needs more training. That Bhagwan Rama would never, and Bhagwan Rama does not cut their ears or nose off. Sri Lakshmana simply gives them a letter and says, go back. You're an ambassador, you have to go back to your leader. Sugriva needs more training to act like Bhagwan Rama. Now, making this personal, Sugriva is an icon for the intellect. For all of us, we've gone through 18 chapters of trying to strengthen our intellect. Sugriva needs more training. Our intellect needs more training so that the intellect becomes godlike. And this happens through the words of God. And the words of God, what this is experienced as is Shravana. In Shravana, I come to feel this is the message. The intellect is exposed to so many messages, but this is the message for my life. The evolution of Shravana is Manana, where this is not just the message, this is the message, and this message is real. Where I am reflecting on this message sufficiently, where there is clarity, conviction, confidence. And the evolution of Manana is Nididhyasana. Nididhyasana is when this message becomes real and personal. That is when one starts to live like God. Nididhyasana does not just mean contemplation in a corner. Nididhyasana means living like God. Sugriva's journey is to be like Bhagwan Rama Our journey is for our intellect to be like Bhagavan Krishna. Bhagavan is about to share his closing message. And he's introducing this closing message beginning with Shloka 63. This is the best portion of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Swami Tejomayananda has described this as the most fascinating. For Vivek, this is the best portion of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And we've waited 1.5 years to come to experience this best. To really appreciate why this is the best, you have to visualize Bhagavan hugging you. If you can't visualize Bhagavan hugging you, then this will not be the best. This will just be emotions. But if you can visualize Bhagavan hugging you, this is like bhava then. It is an identification. Bhagavan is hugging Prince Arjuna and saying, whatever you wish to do, you do now. In other words, he's sharing with Prince Arjuna, your training is complete. And he's hugging Prince Arjuna so much that he's sharing, I'm not going to let go of you, but you may let go of me. That's called avidya, when you forget Bhagavan. So he's sharing a way that one can engage in pranipata. And I explained this in chapter 4. I'm explaining this again in this chapter. Pranipata is when you prostrate in such a way where one hand is above your guru's feet, God's feet, and one hand is below their feet. The hand on top is so they don't leave. But Bhagavan is saying, I'm not going to leave. My concern is you're going to leave. The hand underneath their feet is so you can't leave. That Bhagavan is stepping on you, inhibiting you from going anywhere. Bhagavan tells Prince Arjuna, Manaha Bhakta Yaji Namaskuru Esha. This is how you have to live towards me, live for me. And I'm going to put these into words you already know. Many of you studied in the Moha Mudgara course with me. I studied with you. And we defined bhaja. Bhaja means to sing. That's manaha. Deeper than that is to seek. That is bhakta. Deeper than that is to serve. That is yaji. Deeper than that is to worship. That is namaskuru. And deeper than that is to love. And that is esha. When one is engaged in this comprehensive way towards Bhagavan, then one becomes Bhagavan. The evolution of bhaja is to be. This is where we've completed our study. We now go to 1824 to 1826. This is the last time you'll have to read any course materials for the Bhagavad Gita course. You're all thinking, we haven't started with the first portion of the Bhagavad Gita course. Leave alone this portion. Every one of us needs rest. If you don't sleep for 40 hours, you'll start to lose your mind. When I was in Auschwitz, Poland, I went to the concentration camp, and they have these cells that are like 3 feet by 3 feet. And they would make the prisoners, the males, work all day and then put them in those cells at night. And you can't sleep standing, so after a week, these people would lose their bodies and more so their minds, and they would die. Imagine that degree of torture when you don't have rest. Vedantically, we call this the pursuit of peace. Peace is like a deep rest. And Bhagavan shares that the one and only way to rest, this is the last teaching of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, This is shloka 66. Shloka 66 of chapter 18. This is the next shloka that I'm highlighting. And you all know this shloka. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva papebhyaha mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. In simple terms, sarva dharma, all of the means, all of our responsibilities, tyajya or tyaga, let go of, parityaga, completely. Mam ekam sharanam vraja. Vraja means to actively find my feet, to surrender to me. That is Bhagavan Krishna. If you do your part, I will do my part. Bhagavan says, aham tva sarva papebhyaha mokshayishyami. I will for you all of your papa. We just talked about that. All vasanas, mokshayishyami. I will burn them for you. You will be freed of them. And so, ma shuchaha. What a lovely last two words. Ma is like ma vidvishavahaihi. Ma means no. Shuchaha means sadness, grief. Do not grieve. Do not be sad. We'll open this up some more. In chapter 2 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Prince Arjuna surrenders, but he surrenders partially. He says, I will not fight, I will not stand, I will not speak. That's not full surrender. That's giving up. That's escaping. But now for 18 chapters, Prince Arjuna has learned how to let go. To go from partial to fully, he's learned how to surrender. And what this looks like in common terms is, he had belief. And around chapter 11 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, this belief evolved to faith. And now in chapter 18, this faith has evolved to trust. When you trust this knowledge, it's called jnana pramana. This knowledge becomes authoritative, this knowledge becomes transformative, and you will see that with Prince Arjuna soon. Now, how do we surrender? We keep chanting this shloka. How? Swami Tejamananda shares, from a jnana perspective, from a jnana strategy, this surrender is surrendering what you are not. Anything you are not, you should surrender that. Now, there has to be someone who's saying, I'm not this, I'm not this, I'm not this. And finally, when you come to that depth where you cannot say, I'm not this, that's who you are. In the Upanishads, na iti, na iti. When there's no more na iti, all that remains is iti. If you think of everything we believe we are, do we own any of this? Body, breath, mind, intellect, ego, all of this is made up of the elements. Who owns these elements? Do you? We don't own these equipments, so how can I say this is me? I go in so many people's cars. What if I start saying, this is my car? That would be the last center I'm ever invited to. They may call the police or the psychiatrist on me, correct? But we're doing that for millions of lifetimes. You have to reach what you are. In Atma Bodha we studied that the greatest tirtha yatra is to feel this light inside of one's heart. Hrid akasha. From a bhakti perspective, how do you surrender through love? This is to surrender all means and only hold on to the ends. That there are no means that you are dependent on, you are only dependent on God. For our Ramayana students, when Sri Lakshmana asks Bhagavan Rama, what is bhakti? Bhagavan Rama says, depending on God is bhakti. Bhagavan Krishna shares the same. Letting go of all means, and here I'll share in detail, a lot of the means we engage in, specifically rituals, what comes with that is punya or phala. And though we say that we're not interested in the results, we're not interested in the fruits, we secretly are. And that's why Bhagavan is saying at the end, be careful. We need to let go of that too. Your only phala, your only punya should be love. From a karma's perspective, what does surrender feel like? How do you do this? It is to surrender all roles that we have in our lives and only hold on to the role of a sadhaka. To stop justifying that I am a son, I am a brother, I am a father. I am only a sadhaka. And when I hold on to this role fully, I further God's work. So I am a sadhaka who is acting as a husband to do God's work. So who am I first, a husband or a sadhaka? I am a sadhaka first, then a husband. But we're taught the exact opposite, isn't it? Many of our classes, I've said, when we all got married, we were told, Pati Parameshwara. Fiery words for so many of us. How come they're not saying Patni Parameshwari? Who cares? Because both of those statements are wrong. It should be Parameshwara Pati, Parameshwari Patni. So you see God and then a spouse, not the other way around. To further God's work, that is surrender at a karma perspective. If we have surrendered fully, then the first message of Srimad Bhagavad Gita and the last message of Srimad Bhagavad Gita will unite not just intellectually, but we will feel the message is real and personal. What was the first message? Na anushochanti panditaha. No sorrow wise. A wise person or wise people do not grieve. Now what's the last message? Ma shuchaha. Do not grieve. Do not be sad. Bhagavan introduced the teaching and then through hundreds of shlokas has come to the same message. But you know what has happened? Before, Prince Arjuna was told what panditaha means. It's a word to him. Now he's become that panditaha. It's experiential now. This knowledge has been so succinctly been put together by our Puja Gurudev in our Balavihar motto where he shares, keep smiling. We take that so lightly, but that's the same message as Ma Shuchaha, which shows how thoroughly he knew and lived Srimad Bhagavad Gita. This is where the teaching ends. And now slowly, if you can imagine the curtains opening for chapter 1 leading up to shloka 10, and then in chapter 11 the curtains are open. Now in shloka 67 of chapter 18, the curtains are slowly closing now. And this dialogue post-teaching, Bhagavan says, this message that I've just shared with you is not to be shared with those who are indulgent, is not to be shared with those who are disrespectful, is not to be shared in a forceful way. Now, as soon as we hear this, we think, yeah, that person's indulgent. That person is disrespectful. Ask yourself if you are being indulgent and disrespectful and is not to be forced. Here's where you should think of other people. Many of us think our spouses don't study with us, our kids are not following this. This is not to be forced. Now, some people interpret this as, this is very cryptic and this is very exclusive. Incorrect. Bhagavan is saying, if someone is indulgent and someone is disrespectful, these teachings are going to have no meaning to them, correct? And if there's no meaning, there's going to be no transformation. What is the point? So don't share this with them. This is the most sacred knowledge and all that comes with this knowledge. If you think of the place, this place where this knowledge is being shared is dharma kshetre, correct? Sacred. Then the circumstance is sacred too. This is a righteous war. This is a dharmic yuddha. It's not impulsive. This is for the fight for dharma. This is like Infinity War, correct? This is like the Justice League. This is a validated fight. This is not just a school ground. The people in this dialogue are most sacred. Krishna, the one whose nature is Ananda, so all are attracted to him. Arjuna, the one who's most straightforward, so he's most receptive. And the subject is most sacred because this is the most personal subject. This is me. 1827 to 1830. Bhagavan is sharing, don't share this with them. You should appreciate how sacred this is. And so this depth continues. Bhagavan shares how to keep making this message real and personal. He says the lightest way to do this is to listen to Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And there's power to that. If you think of Raja Parikshita, only by listening to Sri Shukadeva, he was enlightened, correct? Just by listening. The power of Shravana. Deeper than that is to read. I'm not just listening to a discourse through a recording, but I'm reading what these words are. Because whatever you see with your eyes, you start to see with your brain also. Listening, reading. Deeper than this is chanting. To chant Srimad Bhagavad Gita. We tend to do this when someone's dying or someone's dying through a Gita chanting competition. That's our only experience with chanting. But understand, when you chant Srimad Bhagavad Gita, you will begin to question what you're chanting. Your inquiry will start. It is a catalyst. Deeper than that is to study Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Studying is trying to find more meaning from this. And that doesn't mean I study all of Srimad Bhagavad Gita in a week. It means 2 shlokas a day, so that this meaning is not just on the surface of my personality. I'm trying to live this. Deeper than that, listen, read, chant, study is write Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Now you can take this as write a commentary on Srimad Bhagavad Gita like great people have done. For us, it's just take your notes and finish your questionnaires. That's what it means to write Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Because when you write notes, you're simplifying. And if you simplify the message, you can remember the message. And then Bhagavan completes this by sharing the deepest way to internalize this, the dearest way that Bhagavan feels one can relate to Srimad Bhagavad Gita is to teach Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And now you're all thinking, yes, we will start the next Bhagavad Gita course in September. We will have 75 courses going on. Let's see, you have 150 students, we will have 300 students. Teaching here means living Srimad Bhagavad Gita. In our culture, we don't have teachers who just teach and don't follow what they teach. In our culture, the word is acharya, the one who leads by example. How they live is their present message. What they teach is their future message. As in, when their body's not around, they continue that sharing, that legacy. Teach, live Srimad Bhagavad Gita. We had studied in chapter 4 that Bhagavan Krishna manifests to correct the vicious to protect the virtuous. In Ramayana, Goswamiji shares differently. He does not mention Bhagavan comes to correct the vicious. He says he only comes to protect the virtuous, because the virtuous will correct the vicious. Why should Bhagavan have to do that work? It is sadhus. The word sadhu means shastra anusari, one who is tied to the scripture. By living the scripture, they are the ones who are Bhagavan's ambassadors, which I've said so many times. I hope this is becoming more real now. Don't think Kalki is going to come on a horse and a sword. He may, but Kalki is already here through this Bhagavad Gita course, cutting off our heads as in our egos. In our tradition, we share Vidyadanam, Mahadanam. The greatest charity one can offer is of Vidya. The most precious profession is to share or be happy and share that happiness. How? What's causing me to be shoka is avidya. So what causes me to be ananda is vidya, the most precious. Relating this to Vivekachudamani. At the end of Vivekachudamani, this great scripture shows a seeker from ignorance to enlightenment, and at the end of the scripture, in the last shlokas, that sadhaka says, Namaste, Namaskuru, to the Guru, and they go their own ways. And the same is happening here in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, where Bhagavan Krishna says, what's the word? Prince Arjuna, tell me how you're feeling. And you have to visualize this. Prince Arjuna, I've noticed with Vyasa now, he plays coy. He's becoming an actor. Sheila's teaching him. He plays this coyness where he'll kind of squeeze his arms and look down like this. You have to envision Prince Arjuna being like this, where he says to Bhagavan Krishna, Nashtaha mohaha. My confusion, which has caused my fear, which has caused my sorrow, nashta. I'm not confused. Smritihi labdha. I remember. I've shared many times that the word avidya means to forget. The word vidya means to remember. Prince Arjuna says, I remember. So what will I do? Karishye vachanam tava. I will do what you have shared. And why am I feeling this? Tvat prasadat. It is through your grace and guidance that I am feeling what I feel. Swami Tejamananda writes, to choose to surrender our choice to God. To choose to surrender our choice to God is the greatest choice. Prince Arjuna has made the greatest choice. How we've thought about this statement in our Atma Bodha course, I had asked people to come up with their own Mahavakya, and I shared for me, it is, Bhagavan is my boss. Vibhishana says the same to Bhagavan Rama, you are my mother, you are my father, you are my all. On our yatra, someone had asked me, someone new to Seva and Chinmaya mission, how do we stop this ego from rising? And I shared, work for someone who's wise. When you work for yourself, when you work for someone who's not wise, all that will happen is the ego will grow. But when you work for someone who's wise, it is never about you, it is about the wisdom, which is anti-ego. And it's hard. We're so stuck on working for ourselves that to work for someone who's wise, for Bhagavan to be our boss, requires unlearning. Prince Arjuna and Bhagavan Krishna, the curtain has closed to such an extent that they're not seen anymore. And there's only Sanjaya. Remember Sanjaya? Sanjaya Uvacha, our first shloka. He is the charioteer. He is the eyes of the blind Dhritarashtra, the mind. And Sanjaya, he doesn't see Dhritarashtra, he sees Bhagavan Krishna. He's not serving the mind, he's serving the spirit. And so, Sanjaya is graced to be balanced. That's what Paramahansa Yogananda says. Sanjaya is the icon of balance, one who is above likes and dislikes. He is graced by Bhagavan Vedavyasa with knowledge. Knowledge that people who are thinking about Bhagavad Gita, people who are hearing Bhagavad Gita, people who are speaking Bhagavad Gita, that's Sanjaya's experience. He is ideal. And Sanjaya is, you can't even see Sanjaya now, you can just hear his voice. He says, we saw Prince Arjuna without a bow, but now we are seeing Prince Arjuna with his bow. And he says, Bhagavan Krishna is jnana, Prince Arjuna is karma. When jnana and karma come together, there is vijaya. Bhagavan Krishna is nishreyas. Nishreyas means peace. Prince Arjuna is abhyudaya, which is prosperity. Where there's peace, prosperity will be there. Bhagavan Krishna is nivritti, that is control. Prince Arjuna is pravritti, where control and creation are together, there is victory. Bhagavan Krishna is inspiration. Prince Arjuna is perspiration. Where they come together, there is victory. Thus completes all of the shlokas of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Our Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda summarizes all of Srimad Bhagavad Gita in 4 words: active resistance to evil. Active resistance to evil. And our Puja Guruji summarizes Srimad Bhagavad Gita by saying, Kshetre kshetre dharma kuru. If you think of the first words, dharma kshetre, kuru kshetre, if you open up those words, kshetre kshetre means all space, all time, all matter, without excuses, no buts, no busy, no because, dharma kuru. Your responsibilities are to be followed to Brahma, to yourself. The feeling of all of this is kritanta. Another word for Vedanta, a powerful description of Vedanta is kritanta, which means the end of action. It means the end of restlessness, shanti. Shanti, shanti, shanti.